The Last Will of Blackwood House. On a quiet October night in Seattle, Evelyn Carter sat alone in her apartment, staring at an envelope she had read at least 10 times already. It lay on the kitchen table, heavy, cream-colored, with elegant black lettering. Blackwood and Sons, Attorneys at Law. Inside was a single sentence that had changed everything: "You are requested to appear for the reading of the last will and testament of Jonathan Blackwood." Evelyn hadn't spoken Jonathan Blackwood's name out loud in over 20 years. He was her mother's uncle, a billionaire investor, a legend in private banking, and a man people whispered about more than they talked openly. He owned Blackwood House, a massive estate overlooking the Pacific Cliffs, surrounded by iron gates and rumors. Growing up, Evelyn had seen him only once. She remembered his sharp eyes, his calm voice, and the strange way he looked at her, as if measuring something invisible. And now, he was dead. The law office overlooked the harbor. Polished wood, glass walls, silence thick as money. 3 people sat at the table. Evelyn, a tall man in an expensive gray suit, Richard Hale, Jonathan Blackwood's former business partner. And a woman with cold eyes and perfect posture, Margaret Blackwood, Jonathan's niece by marriage. The attorney cleared his throat. Jonathan Blackwood's estate is valued at $340 million, not including offshore assets. Evelyn's breath caught. The attorney continued calmly. To Richard Hale, $20 million. Richard nodded, already satisfied. To Margaret Blackwood, the Blackwood apartment in New York, valued at $14 million. Margaret smiled thinly. The attorney turned to Evelyn. To Evelyn Carter. The room felt suddenly smaller. Jonathan Blackwood leaves Blackwood House, all contents within it, and access to a private account holding $100 million. Silence exploded. Margaret stood up. That's impossible. She barely knew him. Jonathan Blackwood had anticipated that reaction. The attorney slid a small black box across the table toward Evelyn. Mr. Blackwood instructed that this be given only to you. Inside lay an old brass key and a handwritten note. The house remembers everything. Trust what you find after midnight. Blackwood House rose from the cliffs like a shadow frozen in stone. The ocean roared below. Cameras watched every angle. At exactly midnight, Evelyn stood alone in the library. She used the key on a hidden panel behind the fireplace. A staircase descended underground. Below, she found a steel door, a fingerprint scanner, and a safe. Inside the safe were documents, hard drives, and a video file labeled, "For Evelyn Only." Jonathan Blackwood appeared on the screen, older, thinner. "If you are watching this," he said, "then I made the right choice." He explained everything. 30 years ago, Blackwood and Hale had built their fortune laundering money for politicians, arms dealers, and corporations that ruined entire countries. When Jonathan wanted out, Hale threatened him. Jonathan began secretly recording everything. Accounts. Names. Transactions. "Richard Hale believes I died afraid," Jonathan said. "But I am leaving you the truth, and the leverage." The footage ended. Evelyn's hands shook. Suddenly, footsteps echoed above. Then a voice. "You shouldn't be here." Richard Hale stepped into the basement, gun in hand. "I knew Jonathan hid something," he said calmly. "I just didn't expect it to be you." Behind him stood Margaret. "You have 2 options," Richard continued. "Give me the drives, and you walk away with your $100 million. Evelyn slowly closed the safe. "There's a third option," she said quietly. She pressed a button Jonathan had shown her in the video. Alarms screamed. Lights flashed. Outside, police sirens howled. Richard froze. Jonathan Blackwood had wired Blackwood House to automatically send encrypted evidence to federal agencies if anyone accessed the basement after his death. Margaret screamed. Richard tried to run. Too late. At sunrise, Evelyn stood on the cliff, watching agents carry boxes from the house. Richard Hale was arrested for financial crimes, conspiracy, and attempted murder. Margaret was taken away in handcuffs. Later that day, Evelyn received confirmation. The accounts were now fully hers. $100 million. Blackwood House. And something far more powerful. Control. Jonathan Blackwood had not left her money. He had left her a choice. And Evelyn Carter made it without hesitation. 6 months later, headlines filled the news: Blackwood funds expose global corruption network. Whistleblower trust pays record settlements. Evelyn watched from her new office overlooking the city. She kept the brass key on her desk. Some inherit wealth. Others inherit power. But the rarest inheritance of all is the truth.